This week on Capital Connection, Governor Pritzker is promising big investments into higher education, but the state's biggest university president is saying it's not enough.
We're asking for more. Our budget request is for 10%. 7% is a very strong number.
And we take a deep dive into Governor Pritzker's budget proposal with Ralph Martiri from the Center for Tax and Budget Accountability.
The first time really that we've approached having an honestly balanced budget in the 20 some odd years I've been doing this.
And marijuana has been legalized in Illinois for just over 3 years now. We sit down with Representative LaShawn Ford to talk about what the next steps are for this growing industry.
So this year we have almost a couple of dozens of cannabis bills to continue to work on what we knew would be a long process to have a more perfect cannabis law.
It's all coming up on Capital Connection.
From the Illinois State Capitol Rotunda, Capitol Bureau Chief Cole Hankey is asking the tough questions. This is Capital Connection.
Welcome to Capital Connection. I'm Cole Hankey. Governor Pritzker's budget proposal included some big new investments in higher education as well as K-12 education and early childhood. For higher education, universities would see a 7% budget increase if Pritzker gets his way. Now, universities were happy with that number. They told me so when University of Illinois students and administrators came to the Capitol this week for their annual Advocacy Day. But just because they thought 7% was a good number, that doesn't mean they're not going to ask for more. We now take you to our one-on-one interview with University of Illinois System President Timothy Killen. University of Illinois System President Timothy Killen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
You are here on the University of Illinois Lobbying Day, joined by alumni, students, and other members of the administration as well. And I want to start here. We heard last week the governor's proposals for how he wants to approach higher education for the coming year. Yeah. An increase in investment for higher education for universities across the state. I believe it was around 7% officially, but is what you heard from the governor, is that the ideal situation? Is that enough for the University of Illinois system?
Well, it's a great step forward, and I really appreciate the governor's set of priorities. Priority 1, education, 2 and 3. So it was music to all of our ears. And yes, we're here today to inform and educate, the General Assembly and anybody who'll listen of the importance of public higher education at scale with the kind of excellence we bring. The governor's budget was very well received at the University of Illinois system. Is it enough? No, we need, I think we would like, and we're going to advocate for a few years, multiple years of sustained, predictable growth to get back to where we need to be as a state. For our student body that's growing, for our impact on the state's economy, which is very significant and growing in importance, for our partnerships internationally as well as nationally, for all of those reasons, and for the essential reason that we have 94,000 students plus at the University of Illinois system right now. That's 52% of the state population. 75% of those students stay, live, work, and play in the state of Illinois, so they contribute massively to the state. So it's a really important component of the budget, and we're delighted to see the commitment by Governor Pritzker and his administration to elevate its budget in this year. So I'm particularly pleased at the MAP support as well, which of course goes into the pockets of our students. We have a lot of students who are eligible for need-based financial aid from the state. And that commitment as well was really well appreciated in the governor's budget request.
Sustained and predictable are not two words that typically describe higher education investments in Illinois. There was a long time where there was next to no investment from the state that led to some of those, that led to a lot of the tuition hikes that we've seen in the state. That's a common story we hear around here in the Capitol. But just the past few years of that, at least still getting the money in the budget compared to, you obviously want that ramp, but the actual just getting the money year to year, how has that changed the way that the university is able to operate in those senses when we're talking about?
Well, we have weathered a number of storms over the last, I've been here 8 years, so through the budget impasse, and then of course the pandemic was a big issue that we came through. I would say with flying colors, our enrollment has grown, our commitment to affordability in partnership with the state is strong and evident. In 6 of the last 8 years, we froze tuition, 0 increase for in-state residents. And so when we did raise it, it was like 1.8%, 1.9%. So we've been massively sub-inflationary in terms of the cost side for our student body, which has been growing. Now we need to recruit more faculty because we've got more students, and we want to be known for the scale of our impact. As I said, 52% of the student body comes to the University of Illinois. So we're in a situation now where we have value for the investment from the state. We've looked at the economic impact that the University of Illinois system has on the state of Illinois, and it's $19 billion a year, every year. It doesn't go up and down with the stock market. It's repeatable, and that doesn't really even take into account what the individual graduates do with their lives in terms of civic engagement, adding, jobs, raising families, et cetera, in the state of Illinois. So we think that this is a very important investment of the state of Illinois. And it feels to me, and I hope it feels to you and everybody, that this is now a turning of the tide. We're going to invest in the youth of our state because it's a worthy investment. It adds value. It adds economic value to the state through jobs, through raising the tax base. As I said, 75% of our students stay in the state. So we've been making this case, year in, year out. And I think with the current administration, we're now on a path forward, which I think is worthy for the young people of the state of Illinois. And we will deliver. We will deliver excellence and scale at the University of Illinois system for the state of Illinois. And that means economic impact as well as human capital development. So I'm always an optimist. We've come through some tough times, but with flying colors. If you just look at the contributions that the University of Illinois system made during the pandemic, we showed that we can take on big challenges and come through effectively. So I think we've made that case, and we're going to make it again today, frankly, to everybody here at the General Assembly, that this is the most important kind of investment that you can make in a state that wants to thrive into the future. You make an investment in your people. Now that said, we're a piece of the educational puzzle, right? We're not everything, but we do work on K through 12. We teach teachers how to teach AP courses. We teach principals. We have 3 colleges of education. So we're involved in the whole flow of educational attainment, including lifelong learning as well, post a graduation ceremony and a degree. But our primary role is in the post-secondary educational thing. We're going to do that really well into the future. And we're going to have the kind of impact that the state of Illinois needs in terms of innovative capacity as well. Because if you've got tough problems that you're grappling with, whether they're in crime in cities or water use or agricultural challenges or whatever it happens to be, we provide the intellectual caliber problem solving as well through that innovative capacity. And that leads to jobs, including in media relations and so forth. So I'm very bullish on the future now that we have this really fundamental alignment. And it's a value-laden alignment. It's not just the dollars and cents. It's a recognition of the fundamental importance of the mission. And of course, it's our responsibility to perform that mission as well as we can.
The governor also has pitched a big increase in MAP grant funding. Yeah. MAP grants are there to help students afford the tuition across the state that come from families in need. I wonder, with the state ramping up those investments, what needs to change from the university side to meet in the middle there? You mentioned 6 out of 8 years tuition frozen for incoming or in-state students. Right. I know there's laws that protect tuition from going up for students that are already at the university, but is it even in the cards to talk about tuition actually decreasing at universities in the state, or does it need a much more significant investment of public dollars for that to even be talked about?
Well, I think the whole tuition, enrollment, state funding, research funding, et cetera, is a complex equation, right? I think reduction of tuition for an incoming group would be problematic because, as you said, the state has a guaranteed level of tuition. So you might have seniors who are saying, well, I'm paying this and now the new folks. I would personally like to see as much as possible financial help for our student body. Right now, we're doing massive financial aid, institutional. It's about $260 million a year. So if you add now Pell grants from the federal and MAP grants from the federal, we're substantially helping students in need coming from socioeconomic circumstances where they need the financial aid support directly. We're substantially helping that. And that's been improving over the last few years as we've committed to more financial aid year by year by year. We've kept our tuition down and our fees down, massively sub-inflation. So we're working on the affordability issue and now in full partnership with the state. So will we get to the point where it's, nobody ever has any debt for, I can't imagine that happening instantaneously, but we're working on the issue of affordability and access as well. And it's paying off because we have more students than ever right now. So students are flocking to our universities because they can see a path forward that's not, financially disabling. And if you look at the students who do have debt when they graduate, which is, a much smaller number, those debt loads are well below national norms for debt. So we're doing a good job, as best as we can, frankly, given the circumstances that we've lived through in the last few years, and it's improving. And the budget that was the budget request that the governor announced is a massive step in the right direction. If that can be followed by, as I said, predictable multi-year enhancements, we will deliver. And this will. We want to get to a place where there's not a financial obstacle to gain a world-class education if you've done the work to be ready for that. And frankly, we want to help students who are close to being ready to get ready, right, as well. So I think that's, again, the whole flow of human capital through the system is on our watch, is very important. That said, all of that said, we're also very involved in the healthcare delivery system for the state. A quarter of our whole budget is in healthcare delivery. We've got 15 clinics. So human health is very important to what the University of Illinois system brings to the table too. And the budget request is supportive of that part of our mission as well. So you asked initially, is this enough? We're asking for more. Our budget request is for 10%. 7% is a very strong number. It's strong commitment, and we're delighted to see that and very supportive of Governor Pritzker's value-laden budget.
We've talked MAP grants. We've talked just the overall budget request. I wonder, is there any pieces of legislation that are not tied to those that you're really paying attention to this year, something that people should look out for?
Yeah, we have a whole legislative agenda that we, both on the federal side and on the state side, and we're working hard on things like procurement reform so that we can be more adroit and include diverse vendors in those kind of things, to remove obstacles for participation. We're working on other forms of legislation. We're trying to avoid things that may be well-intentioned but have negative effects on public education. So we go over all the bills. We think that there is, and we're trying to lead a movement to provide a better playing field for the development of new jobs, attracting companies in, supporting startup companies so that as the intellectual property flows out of the university, it doesn't automatically go to the coasts. And we want to keep our talent base, keep our innovative capacity in the state of Illinois. So we're working on legislative pathways to do that as well. But we're very interested in keenly following, pre-K legislative pathways, et cetera. So we have a whole team that looks at all of that. And every year we have our own set of priorities on the federal side as well.
All right. Well, University of Illinois System President Timothy Killen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for your interest. Thank you for being here.
When we come back, we'll break down more of the governor's budget proposal with Ralph Martiri from the Center for Tax and Budget Accountability. We'll be right back.